I accidentally became the personal shopper for a billionaire's wife who thought I worked at Nordstrom. 2 years later, she found out the truth. What's the strangest relationship you've ever accidentally fallen into? Mine began when a woman mistook me for a Nordstrom employee and ended with me being written into her husband's will. 3 years ago, I was shopping at Nordstrom during my lunch break, wearing a black blazer and slacks because I had a job interview later that afternoon. I was examining a display of handbags when an elegant older woman approached me. "Excuse me, I need help finding a gift for my daughter-in-law," she said, with the confidence of someone used to being assisted immediately. Before I could explain I didn't work there, she continued. "She's about your age, similar style. I never know what to get her. And my son says I am terrible at gifts." Something about her vulnerable admission made me pause. She looked about 70, impeccably dressed in what I'd later learned was head-to-toe messable, but with an anxious expression that seemed out of place with her polished appearance. "What's the occasion?" I asked, temporarily abandoning my plan to correct her birthday. "She's turning 35 and just made partner at her law firm. I want something that says congratulations without being too motherly." For the next 20 minutes, I helped this woman Pernan, who introduced herself as Margaret Pertolect, a beautiful leather portfolio that was professional yet luxurious. She seemed genuinely grateful for my advice. "You are much more helpful than the last associate I worked with," she said. "What's your name?" "I'd like to ask for you next time, Emma," I replied, finally ready to explain the misunderstanding. But before I could, she pressed a $100 bill into my hand. "For your excellent service, I know you work on commission." She walked away before I could protest. I was stunned. I just made $100 for 20 minutes of giving shopping advice. The money would help with my rent that month, which was tight as I was between jobs. 2 weeks later, I was back at Nordstrom returning a pair of shoes when I heard, "Emma, there you are." Margaret was approaching with a warm smile. "I need your help again." The portfolio was a huge hit. This time she needed help selecting a gift for her husband's 75th birthday. Again, I found myself playing the role of personal shopper, and again she tipped me generously. Pair $200 this time. What began as an awkward misunderstanding evolved into a bizarre arrangement. Margaret would text me when she planned to visit Nordstrom, and I'd meet her there, helping her select gifts for various family members and friends. Each time she'd tip me between $200 - $500. I never explicitly told her I didn't work there, but I never claimed I did either. I simply showed up, gave honest opinions about merchandise, and accepted her generous tips. The extra money helped me launch my freelance graphic design business. When I couldn't find full-time work, over time I learned about Margaret's life. Her husband had built a tech company in the 1980s and sold it for millions. They had 3 homes, traveled constantly, and donated millions to charity. But Margaret felt increasingly isolated in her wealth. Her friends were mostly her husband's business associates' wives, and she felt they only discussed superficial topics. "You are the only person who gives me honest opinions," she told me once. "Explanation else just tells me what they think I want to hear." After about 2 years of our strange arrangement, Margaret invited me to her home to help organize her closet pair, a massive room larger than my entire apartment. As we sorted through designer clothes, many still with tags attached, she mentioned that her regular housekeeper was on vacation. "I thought you had staff for this," I said without thinking. She looked confused. "What do you mean?" "Well, with your homes and everything. I just assumed you had people to organize your closets." Margaret froze. "How do you know about my other homes?" That's when I realized my mistake. In our many conversations, she'd told me about her properties, but a Nordstrom employee wouldn't know these details unless she'd explicitly mentioned them during our shopping trips, part which she hadn't. The truth came tumbling out, I explained. The misunderstanding from our first meeting, how I tried to tell her but then accepted the role because I needed the money, and later because I genuinely enjoyed her company. I expected anger instead. Margaret laughed harder than I'd ever seen, tears streaming down her face. "For 2 years I've been telling my husband about the wonderful personal shopper at Nordstrom who gives the best advice in the store. He's been wondering why you are the only employee I'll work with. Rather than ending our relationship, my confession transformed it. Margaret hired me officially as her personal shopper and stylist part with a real salary that tripled my income from freelancing. She introduced me to her wealthy friends, many of whom became my clients last month. Margaret's husband passed away unexpectedly at the reading of his will. I was shocked to learn he'd left me $50,000 with a note. To Emma, who taught my wife the value of honest friendship in a world where that's increasingly rare.